tank passes, and it kind of gets dusty. You know what I'm saying? I gotta address this head on. This thing that somehow Israel's responsible for the hunger crisis, or that we're orchestrating a starvation, and that it's not Hamas's fault. You know, the very ones who started this whole thing and massacred us. It took our brothers and sisters, sons and daughters hostage into tunnels of terror and torture and starvation. And somehow it's our fault. Well, let me get the facts straight. I'm going to hit this head on. You know, before the war, there was about 73 food and aid trucks that were brought into the Gaza Strip. And since the beginning of the war, Israel's allowed about, 70,000, I think, trucks and about 1.5 million tons of humanitarian aid into Gaza. And that figure is probably unprecedented in the whole history of wars ever, in the whole entire history. Vast majority of the aid is looted by Hamas. You see them on those trucks. They are up there looting it. They're not up there for a joyride with guns on all the aid trucks. You see those videos. You see them shooting their own people as well so that they can control the aid. It's power for them. Almost all the pictures of hunger from Gaza are like that show children that are very, very thin, that look almost like a Holocaust victim. Okay? You see them with very healthy, pleasantly plump parents. So hunger isn't something that's selective, like just for the kid, but not for the parents. Unless the parent is eating all the food and starving their own child. No, they must have some sort of a disorder of some sort. And also, the UN refuses to distribute to Gazans more than 900 food trucks that have been inspected, of course, to check that there's no bombs in there or anything. And their contents are sitting there. You see truck after truck after truck, mountains of aid just sitting there on the Gaza side of the border crossing. They have to go and distribute it. And Israel allows any Gazan who wants to leave the strip to do so and go. We said, let them choose. America and U.S. said, let them choose if they want to live and have somewhere they can go to. We want to even help them. We'll pay for their flight, their boat, their plane to go. But Egypt blocks their entire. They have 4 walls blocking any exit. And you think about this whole thing where if someone, genocide, the whole term genocide started because people tried to ethnically cleanse all Jewish people, right? And so this anti-genocide law came out, which says that if you're a country that's nearby, you have to be able to absorb. So Egypt is not absorbing anyone. So, and neither is Jordan. And neither is any of the countries, that Muslim countries around. So if there isn't a genocide, but if there was, everyone's screaming genocide. So if there was, that means they should be putting pressure on Egypt and Jordan and other countries to be able to welcome them. You can't say it's a genocide, but also not welcome them. It makes no sense. There is no hunger crisis in Gaza. Of course, harder to get to places and stores than it was before the war. But as soon as Hamas will release the hostages, the war will end. And literally, IDF is saying we're going to need to do a major, major offensive. I'll talk more about that in a second here. But apparently, acknowledging the collapse of Gaza ceasefire talks, President Trump of the United States, he stated that Hamas is not interested in a deal. He's talked to Steve Witkoff, and he says Israel will just have to eliminate the group, the entire organization. Echoing these remarks is Brett Witkoff, and he talked to Prime Minister Netanyahu, and he confirmed that Israel's weighing option to secure the release of the hostages, but there's just no way. They're not listening to anything. They're not agreeing to anything. And so with no ceasefire in sight, the IDF is set to intensify our operations, encircling Gaza City, focusing on making sure we reoccupy the full and entire Netzarim corridor, the full entire area, including Tel Sultan area, the whole thing, surround the city of Gaza, central Gaza, establish a second front with a siege in order to safeguard the hostages, to be sure that they won't be hurt. In southern Gaza, clear out all the terrorist infrastructure in Rafah, do a full-on clear. No, don't leave anything for them to use, anything. And civilian support, relocate civilians to secure zones. Maybe that Abu Shabaab will help us. That's that other militia. And so, IDF has control, I think, over 63, maybe more, maybe it's 70-something% of Gaza. But after this, it's going to be full control, 100% control. And it'll be underground as well. You wonder why Russia launched a satellite for Iran into space. What are they launching up there? Why do they need a satellite in space? I think there's a lot of distrust from our side after what Iran did to us time and time and time again. So you have France declare they will I guess it's in September, declare a Palestinian, they'll recognize a Palestinian state, but they didn't say where. So this is really something that different people have commented on. Israel has said that is not wise to reward massacres. It's like giving jihadists in Syria, the ones who attacked the Jews, say, hey, why don't you just take a state? Why don't you have a state? No, with no reform, with no nothing. That is not where I thought the West was at. That's not how we rebuilt after World War II, how we rebuilt Europe, with the Marshall Plan. But you have this, and you have Geert Wilders from Netherlands, Holland. He says, that southern France could be maybe the new Palestinian state, and he calls for to reward them there, not anywhere else. North America has said something similar. Trump said something very similar.
But here's the good news. What he says doesn't matter. It's not going to change it.
So how good that
Well, he made a statement, France, Macron. His statement doesn't carry any weight. He's a very good guy. I like him, but...
And so, we're just continuing to move forward and say, people will say things without knowledge, without wisdom, and we have to continue to do the work properly. Take out the bad guys. Isaiah 49, verse 25 says, indeed, this is what the Lord says, even the captives of the mighty man will be taken away, and the spoils of the tyrant will be rescued. For I will contend with those who contend with you, and I will save your sons. And I'm going to add there, and daughters.